Hey, what's up everyone? I know I've been slacking on my videos, but that's part of life when you have a family. Still, I wanted to apologize for taking so long to update you guys with my progress on this swap. Now, let's take a look at some parts that might save you some money and make this swap a little bit easier. First, let's talk about the oil pan. I tried modifying my LS1 oil pan and it was an epic fail. The GTO oil pan is not cheap and requires a lot of parts to make it work, not just the pan itself, and it makes it even more expensive and time consuming. Also, you need to modify the cross member to make it work. The Siki oil pan is stupid expensive, and to get everything you're looking at almost 1K. So, after a lot of research, I found the Moroso oil pan 2138 with oil filter adapter. It's not exactly cheap, but at less than $400 for everything, it's a great option. This pan also lets you run the factory spray bar without any modifications. One thing to consider is that the two bolts at the very back will not be the same as the OEM, so you will need to buy two bolts to replace them. The instructions call for a 2004 GTO oil filter, but that's not right, so I went to AutoZone and with the help of an associate, we found the right filter. The stock radiator might be enough, but why chance it? So I went with the Mishimoto 240SX radiator because I wanted to make sure the engine had enough cooling potential. With this radiator, the inlet and outlet ports stay in the OEM location, and there's even a kit for the radiator hoses in case I couldn't find hoses at AutoZone that fit. So I went to AutoZone and I bought a lower and upper radiator hose for about $50, and after some trimming, I got them to fit. I bought cheap eBay fans that I will try to wire into my harness to be ECU controlled. The steam ports were routed to a 3H barb fitting that I bought from Amazon, and I chose the worst place to weld it. Yeah, I'm that kind of idiot. A lot of people use the K&N cold air intake for a 2010 Camaro SS, but that's pretty pricey and needs a lot of mods to fit. And because I'm cheap, I went with a $90 solution from eBay. It's basically a cheap cold air intake with a K&N filter from a 2007 to 2012 Dodge Challenger with the 5.7 liter engine. It's not perfect and does require some attention to cover up the ports that won't be used, but it gives plenty of clearance for the radiator and the fans. This setup won't work if you're using the LS3 style MAF and may or may not work if you're using a MAF and an idle air temperature sensor. Like everything else for this popular swap, there's an overpriced kit available from many people, but I didn't want to do that. Instead, I bought 16 feet of nylon and steel braided fuel line for $60, which also included a lot of AN fittings to make my lines as I needed. They are not hard to make, but it helps to have a bench vise and a good way to cut the lines. If you don't follow the instructions, you'll have an impossible time getting them together without leaking. Blah blah blah, expensive kit, blah blah blah, $25 on eBay and $15 worth of fittings on Amazon, and I made sure they were compatible with the fuel line kit I had already purchased and everything worked great. So this swap is very expensive and very time consuming. Still, if you're willing to put in some work and make something yourself, you can save a lot of money. Just as an example, everything on this list cost me just over $1,000, but the Siki oil pan alone cost almost $1,000. So do your research, do some work yourself, and save yourself a lot of money.